Welcome to my channel. It's been some time since I've put out a video, but since my mum passed away, I've been confronted with my grief, and it's been surprising to me that I underestimated this loss that I've felt because I was fairly confident prior that my faith would be enough to override any heartache. My faith in love energy has not waned. It has been my saviour. But I've experienced my personal loss of having my mum around, and these moments often came out of the blue, so it felt and would leave me suffering her loss momentarily, or if I dwelled on the trigger, some reflections that I chose to release my emotions in lasted for hours and some even days. I have a rather controversial thought around grief, but I'll base it upon my own experiences because it is only my opinion, and just because I think it doesn't make it true. And it's offered up as a thought to consider rather than a criticism to anyone. It's an offering for introspective analysis. I noticed my grief arose when mostly I allowed my thoughts to venture into the memory realm or in the future, where I would know in her physical state she no longer can be as I know her or as I knew her. Therefore, I knew my mind was in the realms of ego. The thing with our thoughts when we wander into ego territory is that we often don't realize that ego has quietly observed our entrance and very easily can sneak and capture us. This is evident in anxiety and depression and long bouts of discontent and disharmony. Grief appears to me to be controlled or a takeover of the ego mind. It's ironic that when we experience a loss, not only from a loved one, but loss in general that stirs our emotions, this is a time we are permitted to face ourselves, but for also too many people, we have little understanding of the mechanisms of the mind, and so it can be a hugely difficult process, often experienced alone, with limited understanding to overcome or rise from. Grief is a shadow that reigns on us when we permit it to release or absolve our attachment, which in my case was to my mum in her physical form. I know, or my faith and the synchronicities that happen around me assure me that my mum is no longer restricted and is fully embraced as love energy. That brings me the goosebumps of happiness that confirm my faith. But when I sunk into an emotion triggered by an experience that brought memories of her to me, I was drifting into my shadows. And just like sitting on an ocean in a yacht with no sails and watching as a storm approached, too often this is the experience of grief. It just happens, and we don't realize that if we were prepared, we could navigate through with conscious consideration. We could understand enough to remove ourselves to return to safety, which is presence, and with gratitude, reassemble and create calm. If we remain following the storm, unassisted by knowledge, we are handing our control to an outside source. In the analogy that I've used, the storm will control the boat, and if we venture into our minds unequipped, we too may find ourselves lost in our shadows, wondering how to escape the sorrow, abandonment, resentment, insecurities, anger that reside there. We need to know that we have to return to a state of presence to breathe. In presence, love energy awaits us to re-energize and fulfill us. There are no shadows, no ego, no storms in love energy. Grief is setting sail into a storm, awash with our personal shadows, and it's not wise to set sail into a storm ill-equipped. And yet we hear that people often say grief is the stages we feel because of loss of someone or something instrumentally important to us. Maybe something we have taken for granted, like a body part. Sometimes in life we use phrases such as, I would die without such and such, or I couldn't survive without blah blah blah. But these affirmative mantras spoken unconsciously are building higher walls that one day we may be forced to face. To face grief and allow our release of what was but is no more, we need to know to return to safety, where we can regard ourselves, and with gratitude as our backup, we can overcome, which is to accept and to move forward once more. With positive forward momentum, we can find happiness, contentedness, and joy in the space that we may have thought only loss could embody. We may open our heart through this healing process to notice what we thought was empty is now filled once again with the energy of love. Grief is an opportunity for healing, but like any repair work in the physical realm, we often need a manual to guide us. Understanding our ego mind is the manual, and love energy in presence is the safe house. With gratitude and love, we can accept and let go of our attachments. Grief is a shadow faced where letting go is the hopeful and healing outcome. It's a process that should be backed up by love to return us with a new perspective. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful for someone who is possibly lost in their own shadows of grief. I'm Sammy, and love is the answer. Ciao.